Today I want to demonstrate a front cross cable. It's a relatively simple technique that makes everything look like $1,000,000. If you can make a cable sweater, people will think you've been knitting for years. Before I get started, I just want to review a couple of terms, mainly that we're working in stockinette stitch. That's where you knit one row, purl the next, knit one row, purl the next, and that gives you that nice, smooth stockinette stitch. This swatch is done with stockinette stitch. The cable is in stockinette stitch, and to make it pop out, the 2 stitches before the cable and 2 stitches after the cable are in reverse stockinette stitch. You can see the back of the swatch, so you can see how the stockinette, this is actually then reverse stockinette here. Alright, so I'm going to be using, to demonstrate, I'll be using my size 4 needles. And a lot of knitting books will tell you, oh, you can just use a crochet hook or you can use a spare needle to hold your cable stitches. I think it's easier if you just go ahead and buy a package of cable stitch holders. And the key is to choose the stitch holder that's closest in size to your knitting needles. So I'm going to use the smallest of these 3, comes closest in size to the size 4 needles. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to begin by casting on 26 stitches, because I'm going to knit 8 and then reverse stockinette for 2 stitches, 6 stitch total for the cable, another 2, and then 8. Okay, I've worked a couple rows of the pattern, so we've got stockinette, 2 reverse stockinette, stockinette where the cable's going to go, and so forth. So I'll go ahead and I'll get up to the cable point. So I'm going to start by knitting those first 8 stitches, which gives me the stockinette. Now if you're social knitting and don't want to have to count, you can of course add little markers, you know, where you need to change stitches, but it'll become pretty apparent as the pattern gets going. So here's the 2 reverse stockinette that are going to make the cable pop out. Now we've got these 6 stitches. I'm going to take the cable stitch holder, pull 3 of these off, and pull them down in front of the work. Knit the next 3. Alright, this is where it gets just a little tricky. So you don't want to lose the needles or the stitches off of that other needle. Now we're going to knit off of the stitch holder. So don't be careful not to twist your stitches. You want to keep them in the same order and knit 1, 2, 3. It'll feel very tight, and it does play with your gauge when you do cable. So we'll get that out of there and then continue on. So we'll do our 2 reverse stockinette and knit to the end of the row. Now we just go back to the pattern for another 7 rows, and on the 8th row we'll repeat the cabling. So I'm going to go ahead and do the back side here. So reverse stockinette now. We're going to purl 8 stitches. And we're going to knit 2. These are the ones that make the cable stand out. And then purl 6, and these are the back side of the cable, so they'll be a little tight. They'll feel different. there, and then knit the 2 for the reverse and finish out the row. So this makes 1 row of the 7 that we need to knit before we cable again. So you can look at it and you can see the beginning, and it's kind of exciting to see the very beginning of your first cable. We've done 7 rows of the pattern, stockinette, reverse stockinette, the cable, and out the end with reverse and stockinette. So now we're going to cable again to give us that second cable. So go ahead and knit these 8. Purl the 2 reverse stockinette, and just as before, pull the 3 off, hold them in front of the work, knit the 3 remaining. And again, don't want to lose those stitches. Now we're going to knit the 3 off the cable needle. Purl those 2 reverse stockinette and knit to the end of the row. Alright, and again we're going to do 7 rows and then repeat. But already you can see that you have a cable going. So you do the swatch however long you want to do it. Once it's blocked, flattened out, here's what you've got. So that's a basic front cross cable.